Are you the type of person that questions absolutely everything? I mean, everything about your life? Well, if you are, then this video is for you because that means that you probably question why you're here. Probably question what were you meant to be? You probably question, well, what am I supposed to be doing? And if that's the case, then again, this video is for you. I'm going to go over the top 5 misconceptions about your purpose. So you want to listen up. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So at the top of the list, we have number 5, the top 5 misconceptions about your purpose. You think that your purpose is about doing something, and that's not quite true. Here's the reason why. In Genesis 1:28, God said this, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, have dominion over it, over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over everything that moveth upon the earth. Now notice that the first instruction was not to do something. The first instruction was to be fruitful. So God is telling us, listen, I want you to do something, but before you can do something, you have to become something. So what does it mean to be fruitful? To be fruitful means to produce on the outside what is on the inside. You'll see a lot that God compares us to trees and seeds. So that analogy in being fruitful means that we should be developing ourselves to be a mature tree that can produce fruit. That's the being part. And really, that's the most important part. You cannot do something, which is the producing part, without becoming the tree first. All right. So moving on to number 4. You think that just because you're experiencing a level of success, that you are living with purpose. Again, that's not quite true. Why? Because it's possible to be successful in the wrong assignment. Generally, well, oftentimes what happens is people will develop their own sense of purpose. They will give themselves a purpose in life and they'll follow that. They'll go to school based off of what they think their purpose is. They'll choose a career based off of what they think their purpose is. They'll go to school based off of it, right? But when you finally come to God, when you finally come to a place where you realize that you're still feeling empty on the inside, when you realize that you chose your own purpose instead of allowing God to give you the purpose and you follow that purpose that he gives you. All right. Moving on to number 3. You think that you can find purpose on your own. That is a misconception. Why? Because you cannot discover your purpose aside from God, because it is God who sets the purpose. Now, let's take an example of a cup. A cup is designed to hold liquids or even solids. Now, what if you take that cup and you cut it up into little pieces? Is it still being successful being a cup? Well, no, it's not, because it was designed to do a specific thing. So because it's not doing the thing that it was designed to do, then it's truly not being successful. It's really just existing. People are the same way. We tend to try to discover our purpose on our own. We realize that there's no way that we can actually discover that thing without God revealing it to us. The only person who knows the purpose of the cup is the person who created the cup. When they know what the cup is, then guess what? The cup will know what the cup is. Moving on to number 2. You think that just because someone said you were good at something, that's your purpose. This is one that we often fall into a trap of, but that's not quite true. Why? Because other people's recognition of your gifts and talents is just evidence that you possess it. See, when we want to choose the purpose, our own purpose for our life, then we can fall into the trap of going down the road that we choose for ourselves. And by doing that, we're really just serving ourselves. Going down the road and the path that we choose serves us. It does not serve God. So if God has a specific purpose for us, but we choose to push to the side his purpose and walk the path along our purpose, then we are living to serve the self. And the more that we live to serve the self, the more we actually feel empty on the inside. All right. Now, last but not least, number one misconception about your purpose is you think that your purpose is all about you. And that's not true. Here's the reason why. Let's look at Psalm 1:1-3. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And his law doth he meditate day and night, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither. Whatever he doth, whatever he does, shall prosper." Now, as a tree who bears fruit, here's the question I have for you. Do you ever see trees eat their own fruit? Never. The gift of the tree is that it's able to produce fruit. And the fruit is not there for the tree. It's always there for someone else. So you being like a tree, and God here, he says it. He says, "Blessed is the man that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." Right? When you meditate on his law day and night, you become like this tree who receives nourishment, and you're able to now produce fruit for someone else to eat. You become the mature person that God created you to be, and therefore you become the tree that God always intended for you to be. Listen, because you are already questioning where you're supposed to go in life, the greatest answer that you could ever receive is already in God's word. Therefore, if you're asking about your purpose, the only person to ask is God, because he sets the purpose. Listen, I love you with the love of God, and there is nothing that you can do about that. Peace.